Good evening, everybody. It's 7 o'clock. It's Thursday night, and it's time for the Falcon and Winter Soldier pre-show. That's right. We are just 5 hours away from the penultimate episode of this. Now, we've been following along for 4 episodes now, and things got really interesting last week. I'm going to have a little orange juice here. Nothing else in it. Not that I'm against drinking. Just not while I'm doing a show, at least not this show. When I did the Mannix show, I had a scotch with me because it seemed appropriate for that topic. Now, we had an amazing episode last week. And for all intents and purposes, this one is supposed to be even more so. But we will get into that. I just wanted to check with everybody, see how you're doing. And also, I wanted to do a quick plug. I don't plug my work very much, so I'm going to do that tonight. This is one of the most recent things I've written comic-wise is The Freeze from Top Cow, Image Comics. And this is the graphic novel that came out. It's a little over a year old now, but it's still available through Amazon and stuff. It's one of the most unique premises I've come up with, which is basically what happens if one day the entire world stops except for one man, Ray Adams, and he has the ability to make people go again. Basically, everybody's frozen. He can touch them and bring them back. So that's the premise for The Freeze. It's myself with artist Phil Sevey. It's a 4-issue miniseries that came out, like I said, about a year and a half ago. The trade is available now on Amazon, and if you're interested and want to read something I did, check out The Freeze Volume 1, and I will let you know that maybe there's more coming soon. Fingers crossed. All right. Hello, Jamal. Good to see you, sir. And to everybody else who's popped on, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's start with a little bit of news. Just catching you guys up on what's going on. The big news today, of course, is Mads Mikkelsen, who is great in everything he's done, including Rogue One, the Hannibal television series, his turn as Caecilius in Doctor Strange, in just the original Doctor Strange movie. And he's going to be joining Indiana Jones episode 5, or whatever you want to call it, Indiana Jones number 5. I believe it's the Colostomy Bag of Osiris. Just kidding. So, yeah. He is joining Harrison Ford's returning and Phoebe Waller-Bridger, who had joined the cast early in the week. And we know John Williams will be back for the music. And James Mangold is going to be directing, taking over for Steven Spielberg. So it should be a very good movie. Mangold, of course, did the Logan movie. So that's one bit of news. Another one coming out is having to do with Aquaman 2. Now, the spin-off series, The Trench, that James Wan was going to do, about that area of Undersea Kingdom has been pulled the plug on. But Aquaman 2 is still in the works. It is slated for sometime in 2022. And they've announced that, I'm going to try to get this name right, Pilo Asbak is joining the cast. Now, Pilo played Euron Greyjoy in Game of Thrones, and of course he was the sea captain, and his the banner for the Greyjoys, of course, has a kraken on it. So who better to join Aquaman than this guy? So he's going to be joining, and of course Jason Momoa was in Game of Thrones, so though the two of them never actually worked together. They were on different seasons in different areas of the series. Something else that came out today is the working title for Black Panther 2. Now, if you're not familiar with working titles, it's a code that they can put, that Hollywood uses so they can refer to a movie without saying it's a certain movie. Sometimes they do it so people don't show up at, filming and stuff. It's kind of a way to keep it hidden. The most famous, of course, is the working title for, I believe it was Empire Strikes Back. It might have been Return of the Jedi, but it was called Blue Harvest. Now, the current movies in production for Marvel, Captain Marvel 2, its title is Goat Rodeo. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumanium is currently being called Dust Bunny. Thor Love and Thunder is called The Big Salad. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is called Hot Christmas, which seems appropriate since it's going to be coming out around Christmas, or at least it's going to be the Christmas special that James Gunn is filming. But Black Panther 2 just got its title, and it's simply called Summer Break. So sometimes it ties into the movie, sometimes it doesn't. We'll have to see. Another thing came out, and I'm going to move Bucky off of the screen here for a second. This was a poster that came out for What If, and you'll notice that it's got this title, Guardians of the Multiverse. So it looks like that it's possible that the What If stories, even though there are all these different versions, will tie together in some manner, creating this Guardians of the Multiverse. In this image, we've got, of course, Peggy Carter as Captain Britain. You've got Killmonger, you've got Gamora, and you have T'Challa as Star-Lord. You have Doctor Strange looking very different in a more of a dark costume. You have Thor with his costume from the original film. And then you have Black Widow in, looks to be a little more battle outfit. It'll be interesting to see how that plays. And of course, you got Yuto the Watcher at the top there. And how this all ties together. What is the Guardians of the Multiverse? Is this something that it's all going to build towards? We're going to see all these characters interact. I mean, the plan is to use the multiverse in many places, but I didn't know how much it was going to affect What If. I kind of thought What If was going to be kind of its own little animated series where we just kind of pick one movie, do an animated version that's has a basic twist to it. You know, what if Peggy Carter got the serum instead of Steve Rogers? What if T'Challa was taken by Yondu instead of Peter Quill? That type of thing. That's how I thought it was going to play out. But this seems to indicate that these are all going to tie together, and that's going to be interesting, and we'll have to see how that plays out. But that should be debuting this summer. I'm not sure how soon after Loki, but you know they've got a lot of stuff they're trying to get done in 1 year with Loki, then What If, then I believe Miss Marvel, and then Hawkeye. And quickly on the tails, we've got She-Hulk starting to film. So they're going to have to start moving these things quickly, or maybe release more than one in a week. Okay, let's go to, hey, this is a good picture. This will be obviously from either episode 5 or episode 6. Sam and Bucky on the boat. So we haven't dealt with the boat in a long time. Okay, one of the things I need to bring up is a rumor going around. And normally, after WandaVision, I think a lot of us got a little gun shy when it comes to. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I am looking forward to seeing what they're doing with What If. I think it's going to be an interesting series, and to see how they're going to all tie together. But all right, so dealing with possible rumors. Well, Wyatt Russell had an interview with the BBC Radio. And he gave what may be one of the clumsiest answers I've ever heard. He was asked if he had ever met Chris Evans. Now, I want to quote him, so I don't want to get this wrong, but you'll see this is just incredibly clumsy. He says, whether he's met Chris Evans, I think I have. I don't think I've shook his hand, met him, but I think I've walked by him somewhere and made eye contact. That counts as being a stalker. That doesn't count as meeting anybody. But I guess it would. You just got to wait until the end of the series. Then everybody would be like, oh, wow. Okay, talk about taking a severe left turn in the middle of a sentence. To go from, no, well, I mean, I might have bumped into him. I might have, walked by him, but, I don't really know. But wait till you get to the end of the series. Oh, wow. Well, a lot of outlets took that and went, oh my God, Chris Evans is coming back. Oh, he's coming back. You can't say that. Evans was pretty adamant about he's going to be gone for a while. He could come back, but he's probably going to be gone for a while. And I know there were reports that he was working on a deal. He might be getting close to a deal to come back. But this would already have been filmed when that news came out. So do I think I don't think Chris Evans is coming back. Maybe he pops in at the very end for like a post-credit scene cameo where he's up on the Nick Fury's starship looking down and sees like a closing scene and looks proud of Sam or Bucky or whoever ends up with the shield. But I don't think we're going to end up with him showing up, at least in any major form, in any major form. Yeah, Jamal agrees. That does seem like an odd answer. It's a very clumsy answer, which I don't know. It reminds me a little bit of Paul Bettany, his answer about working with somebody and how that all led to this big whole, oh my God, it's going to be this great cameo. And it turns out it was just himself. He was working with himself. So I wouldn't I wouldn't expect Cap to show up. I wouldn't expect Chris Evans to show up. Be pleasantly surprised if he does. Don't be disappointed if he doesn't. All right. Now, what we do know about episode 5, and this is from Marcus Spellman, the show creator and the head writer. The first thing he tells us is this is the big episode for him. This is the one he wants everybody to see, and this is the episode that we're going to cry in. Now, I take that as this is where we go back to Isaiah Bradley. And the reason is because I can think of no more tragic story than the Isaiah Bradley story. How he got just mistreated for so long and then ended up most of his life in jail. And just, it is a tragic, tragic story, the way he was mistreated. And I think that's the type of story. Plus, we saw in the trailer what looked to be Sam sitting either out back or in front of Isaiah's house. The series producer Nate Moore told Vanity Fair that there's definitely more to come when it comes to Bradley. So I have a feeling we're going to get that. Now, another thing we get is Spellman said that there's going to be a cameo in episode 5 that will surprise people, that it's a grounded character, and it's a character that he would love to see work with like Thor, because the Thor, big cosmic character compared to a very grounded character. Now, to go with that, Slash Films has added that this is an established MCU character that we have not seen before and who is not currently slated to appear in an upcoming film. And it's going to be played by a well-known performer. Now, I've since heard that it's been confirmed that it's supposed to be an actor, but the word performer makes me think it might be somebody who's known for more than just acting. Now, who could this be? Is it somebody that ties into Isaiah Bradley's past? Is it somebody modern? Is it, a soldier type character that, that he ran into during his day when he was in Korea? Do we get the flashback to when Isaiah met the Winter Soldier? A lot of great possibilities there. And we'll find out tonight. I don't even want to speculate that much. Herc, as in Hercules? It could be. It could be Hercules. That'd be an interesting character to bring in. I don't know. I honestly don't have a good guess. That's the thing at this point. There's still a lot of questions outstanding, and we're in a lot of new territory here. Going into the series, I was able to tell you that I thought the Power Broker was going to be a player, and that Um, that the power broker is going to be a player because of the John Walker story and how John Walker gets his powers in the comics and how it tied to the Flag Smashers. So there were certain things I was able to lay out in my pre-series video, and a lot of it has come true. The things that haven't is we haven't actually seen who the power broker is. And at this point, we're so late in the series that the power broker either needs to be somebody we've already met, or it needs to be somebody who's been established elsewhere. So that's why I threw 3 names out there. I mean, Thunderbolt Ross is one that a lot of people like to suggest. Sharon Carter gets suggested a lot. Zemo gets suggested a lot. I don't think it's Zemo. I don't think it's Sharon Carter. And Thunderbolt Ross doesn't make a lot of sense to me either. It could be Sharon Carter. Of those 3, that's more likely than the others, I think. But it still doesn't feel right. Outside of that, I thought it could be Arnim Zola coming back because, the super soldier serum and he's in an android body type of thing. It could be Red Skull returning because after his duty to the Infinity Stones got finished, he would be free. How he'd get back, I don't know, but from Vormir. And then, of course, I thought of the Leader because that's the one character from the old Hulk series that we haven't seen, a Hulk movie. We're going to get the Abomination back in She-Hulk. We got Thunderbolt Ross already. We have a different version of the Hulk, or at least a different actor as the Hulk. And I don't think it's Betty Brant or Doc Samson. So, not Betty Brant, Betty Ross. There's a lot of Bettys in the Marvel comics, but Betty Ross. So, the Leader makes sense. Jamal says, is the power broker really Sharon? I mean, in storytelling, wouldn't they have introduced the big bad by now, like they did in WandaVision? Yes, and that's the thing, is that they should have introduced the character by now. And that's why Sharon is a possibility. But I'm going to throw a completely random-ass name out there, and it's a guy we don't even know his name. But what about the guy that announced who Captain America, the new Captain America? There's somebody we were introduced to. He could be the power broker. So if you go from the idea that you have to introduce the character at a certain point, again, there are only a handful of characters it could be. And Sharon Carter makes the most likely sense because she's in Madripoor. She's got the connections. How is she trailing how is she using the satellites? How is she getting all this information? It sets up well for her to be the power broker. It doesn't fit her character so much. And she does speak about him like he's in the third person. Also, we don't know if Sharon was blipped away or not, but Zemo talks about having known the power broker, and Zemo should have been in prison or blipped since Civil War. So, and I don't mean he knew him personally, I mean knew him by reputation. If he's been in jail since Civil War, how would he know the power broker's reputation? It's really unclear. So yes, they could make it Sharon. Is there problems with it? Absolutely. They could make it somebody we've already met in another movie. That's why Arnim Zola, Red Skull, the Leader come to mind. Because then, they're characters that make sense. I see people saying it might be Wilson Fisk. That doesn't make sense at all, as much as we'd love to see the Kingpin crossover, especially if it's Vincent D'Onofrio. But Kingpin has always been about New York, not Madripoor. It doesn't make sense to have him be the big bad of Madripoor. It makes, Kingpin is New York. So it could be somebody that they're introducing for another movie. It could be somebody tied to Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. So maybe we meet the Mandarin here. Maybe he's working as the power broker here. That's a possibility. But again, I think we should have seen him by now. So the fact that we haven't met the Power Broker yet, we haven't seen the Power Broker. Now, see, that's another one I've heard, that it could be Batroc. He did survive the air battle, so maybe it's him, and that is true. He's a possibility. I wouldn't put him as a probability, because it doesn't strike me as his type of thing. This is a mastermind thing. This is, Batroc is a mercenary. He goes to the highest bidder. If he was the Power Broker, why wouldn't he just hire a bunch of guys to go kidnap him? Batroc is the guy you hire to go kidnap somebody. He's not the guy that runs a city. So again, I could be wrong. This is me just playing out the theories. So, Batroc has been introduced. He could be. Sharon Carter could be. It doesn't seem to fit who she is. I think Sharon Carter is actually working with the Flag Smashers. That makes more sense to me. But that they're going off the books, that they're doing things that she didn't think they should be doing, and that's why she's kind of playing both sides of the fence. But again, it could be any of these things. They haven't given us enough to make it seem perfect. Nothing seems perfect. So I have a feeling that when we do get the reveals, they're going to feel a little clunky. And part of that, I think, is the possible missing subplot. I think there's been a lot of rewriting to make this series work, but I think we're going to end up with some clunky connections because of it. It's not saying the series isn't good. I'm really enjoying it. I think they had probably a more fluid story, but the fact that it included a pandemic, they had to scramble and reshoot and rewrite and try to save what scenes they could. And in doing so, we've got some little clunker areas of the script. Like Mama Danya, who is an actress who's been around and does a lot of things. We've seen her in a lot of different shows, and she's hired to just be a dead body. I've played a dead body. You don't hire somebody with an actual international following to play a dead body, and that's all they're doing. Okay. Yeah, Jamal, I absolutely do think that the rewritten plot was about a virus. It makes more sense that Mama Danya died of that virus, that what they were stealing was vaccines and stuff for the virus that the Power Broker had, and that they got the super soldier serum by accident. I don't think they went to steal the super soldier serum. If anything, I think Sharon Carter probably directed them to steal the vaccines and stuff from the Power Broker. They got it by accident. That's my theory. Again, no guarantees on any of that stuff. Just that, that there needs to be something, a flashback, but I don't think we're going to get one. I think it's cut footage because it doesn't make sense to the plot they have now. So I think the Mama Danya character, Danya Madonna, I think that's just going to be one of those clunky things that we're just going to have to accept because we know that they had to do rewrites. And the whole idea that they were doing these rewrites came up in February of 2020. There was rumors about them needing to do a rewrite because of the pandemic. The fact that we're suddenly having a pandemic and they had a series coming out about a pandemic. So I understand why they did it, but I hope she didn't get scale for that appearance. I hope not either. I remember what I got paid for being on Dexter, and she deserves a hell of a lot more for that. So let's get back to some of the things we saw in the trailer. That was the midweek trailer. Now, the interesting things in it is majority of it was still footage we'd already seen, or mid-series trailer. We've seen most of it, but there's the one scene that looks intense to me, which is a warehouse. Cap's in there, and it looks like he's still got the bloody shield. So it looks like we may pick up immediately after the decapitation scene or the attack scene. Don't know if he was actually decapitated or if he just crushed his chest, but the bloody shield scene. It looks like they drag him into a warehouse or something to deal with him, and they tell him that he needs to give up the shield, and he says, "You don't want to do this." And the fact that Bucky pauses for a second and then goes, "Yeah, we do." I think that sums up everybody's feeling at this point about that character. Now, I want to say Wyatt Russell, the actor who's playing John Walker, is a phenomenal actor. He is doing an amazing job. He's got the genes for it coming from Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn. And even though he didn't grow up wanting to be an actor, he grew up being a hockey player. He is killing it as John Walker. And I know a lot of people feel hate towards John Walker. Don't feel that hate towards Wyatt Russell. Wyatt Russell is turning in the performance of a lifetime. This is the type of performance that puts him on the map. So appreciate the actor separate from the hatred of the character. He does look like his dad. Not completely, but enough that you go, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's it, yeah." So, but when he has that big full beard that he likes to wear most of the time, he doesn't look that close to it. But when he's got it shaven or the scruff, yeah. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this series is going to pan out. I think we've got some big action scenes left. I think a lot of the footage we've seen in the early trailers may end up being part of the end of the show, like Zemo at the monument. I get the feeling that we're not going to see Zemo again until that scene, and that's actually going to be at the end of the series where Bucky's recapturing him and turning him over to Wakanda to make up for what he did. That's my guess. The throwing the shield around, I've heard that we do end up back in Louisiana in this next episode. I don't know how legitimate that claim is, but it's possible that they do take the shield away from him, or not. I don't know. I mean, there's so many weird reports out there. Someone else reports that there's a second shield. So maybe Walker gets that one taken away from him and builds himself another one. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I think this is going to be a very intense episode. I think the next 2 episodes are going to be very intense. There's a lot of ground to cover. Yeah. As myself, old comic readers knew where his arc was going. I hope he sticks around as U.S. agent with his own shield. I agree. I don't know if they'll give him a shield. I think he will stick around as U.S. agent. I don't know if he'll have a shield because the way the MCU is different from the Marvel Universe, vibranium is so much more rare. So having a shield of vibranium is supposed to be rare. And that Cap's shield should only be one. But then we're not exactly sure where this shield came from. Because at the end of Endgame, before he starts traveling back in time, the shield is broken, just shattered to pieces. Yet he's able to hand the shield to Sam as an old man. So did he take the shield and have it reforged? Or did he get a new shield? We've never had that answer. So maybe there's more than one shield. Maybe there's a couple of them. I don't know. I think it should just be one shield. I think they need to leave it one shield for the MCU. I think U.S. Agent could be a great character on his own. I'd like to see him get those the arm shields that Chris Evans, Steve Rogers had as Nomad. Those were pretty damn cool, and I think that would look good on a character like John Walker. I think those would look awesome, but we'll have to see how that pans out. There's a lot of that's the thing is there's a lot of potential in this show, a lot of places they could go, and there isn't a definitive path at this point. I think we're locked into Sam taking the shield at the end. Sam is going to end up with the shield. Will he call himself Captain America at the end? I don't know. Will he get a more red, white, and blue costume and carry the shield? I think so. I'd almost like to see him continue being the Falcon, but with the shield and be his own person. When is the release hour? We are about 4.5 hours away from episode 5. It drops at midnight Pacific. I think it's 3 a.m. on the East Coast. So we got a few hours to wait. I just do these a little earlier because people are still awake. Now I'll be up. I got some writing to do and stuff like that. But I'll catch it at midnight, and then I'll probably watch it again first thing in the morning, and then come on about noon and do my review live. So, what are you guys thinking of this series? Where are you at on it? Who do you think is the power broker? Who do you think is going to end up with the shield? I mean, will Falcon become the new Captain America? Will Bucky be the new Captain America? Will there be a Captain America? Portugal. Let's see. Okay, so it's probably going to be about 9 a.m. your time. Enrique, I think you're going to be about 9 a.m. your time, if I'm doing the math right. All right, Jamal says, the comics have a U.S. agent in Alpha Flight now, so you think the comics foreshadow the film appearances? Ghost Rider, Captain Marvel, Black Panther, Eternals, Black Knight have all had comics pushes before their films. Okay. You're welcome. I don't know if we'll ever get Alpha Flight. I think it's a fascinating idea. But there's so much Alpha Flight history. Do you want to go to the modern? See, that's my thing with a lot of the shows nowadays, is that we've got these characters with such a huge history and arc that they could pull from, but a lot of the newer viewers want to rush to the modern stories. I look at back when Sam Raimi was doing the Spider-Man movies, and Tobey Maguire was Spider-Man. The first movie, Green Goblin. Second movie, Doc Ock. Third movie was supposed to be Sandman, but the producers wanted to force Venom in there because everybody wanted Venom. And Venom was, of course, popular at the time, but Raimi was building up these villains as Spider-Man had, with some of the earlier villains, Electro, stuff like that, then to jump all the way ahead. Or it's like with the X-Men movies, they're constantly trying to get to the Dark Phoenix story. I mean, they've done it twice. There's so much X-Men stories. There's the Brood. There's going against Dracula. There's the Hellfire Club. There's just so many amazing X-Men stories. Why rush to certain ones when you could build to them? So Do I like the new Captain America? The new Cap. I like him as a character and the way he fits into the Marvel Universe in a way that no one else does. I think if he ends up as U.S. agent and is used in a way like that, to be more of an agent than and not as the Captain America, I think he could be a great character. I don't like him as Captain America, but I think the actor is doing a phenomenal job, and I think it's a very interesting character. It's a character I'd like to see stick around because I think they could tell a lot of great stories with him. So, Alpha Flight coming out now has U.S. agents a team member. I don't think it's out yet. Yeah, see, again, with Alpha Flight, I think of Alpha Flight, I think of Guardian or Vindicator, depending on which name he had at the time. I think of Sasquatch and Snowbird and stuff like that. Those are the stories I want to see when I hear Alpha Flight. I don't necessarily want, Alpha Flight's supposed to be a Canadian group. Why would you have U.S. agent in a Canadian group? So no, I don't want to see them do the new Alpha Flight. So I'm a little more of a traditionalist. Yeah, I agree that Wyatt Russell is a phenomenal actor. And again, for a guy who started off as a hockey player first and then got injured and went into acting because that's the family business, he is doing phenomenal. Do you think Bucky is underrated? The character of Bucky, I think Bucky is a better hero than he thinks he is, and I think he's being held back by his past and his own self-doubt about being a hero. He could be Captain America. I think he's got the heart and he's got the ability. I don't think he'll ever take up the mantle, at least not anytime soon. He's got more therapy to do, I think. The actor is phenomenal. The last week's scene where he finds out that he's no longer under control of the mind conditioning, where Io calls out all those the key words to trigger words, and he doesn't switch into that mode. That was just such an amazing scene. And that was him just emoting through his face and his, there was no words. It wasn't the script that made it work. It was him and the terror in his eyes and the fear, and then just the relief and then joy when he realized he was free. That was an incredible scene. So Sebastian Stan, very underrated as an actor. Bucky, the character, I think he's got a huge high ceiling. He could do so much more. That I look forward. I am hoping that when this series ends, we find out that these two are going to continue working together, and we're likely to get a second season. I know some series, Loki is the only series right now that's already geared towards having a second season. I think She-Hulk will be as well. I think this will be good to have a second season on this one. WandaVision, I could see them doing another story where Wanda tries to reconnect with the White Vision and get her husband back, or get the Vision that she knows back. But this one, I don't think there's a huge series for that. This one, I think, could be a good series. I mean, he's not strong in the series like he was in Winter Soldier. Okay, you mean physical. I think that might be misleading, because I think the first time we see him in action, he goes up against, what was it, like 6 or 8 other super soldiers where you put one trained super soldier against two untrained ones or three untrained ones, he should win. But he was just outnumbered and pinned by that group and caught by surprise. When they went in and it was more of a one-on-one, he did fine. He took out the one guy downstairs, came up, fought the guy with the knife. So I think Bucky's going to do fine. And I think Bucky and Sam are going to kick Walker's ass this week. I think we're going to get a pretty good fight scene. And I think it's going to be a little reminiscent of Civil War, where Bucky and Cap are taking on Iron Man. I think we're going to get that look. But you also got to keep in mind that unlike the Flag Smashers, John Walker is a trained soldier. He knows how to fight. The fact that he was, trying to take on these guys with no super soldier serum and was doing okay means that he's going to do a lot better with the serum. And we don't really know how the serum that Walker took differs from the one that Bucky took. So I think we're going to see more Bucky. And I think Bucky's going to feel like he can cut loose against Walker. Super soldier to super soldier, where the first time he fought the Flag Smashers, he didn't know they were super soldiers until things happened, and then they figured it out. So I think that's going to be – I think we're going to get to see Bucky in real action. Yeah, I agree. I think Bucky needs to seriously smack down John Walker. And I think it's coming. I think it'll be this episode. If not, the next episode. I think he's going to need to have that moment where he just smacks around Walker. But then we see the clip of him on the motorcycle and then, basically flipping the bike up and launching himself in the trailer as a projectile at that point. So he does. He is a super soldier and he has the metal arm. There's a line in the trailer where he does something with his right hand and Sam's like, well, why didn't you use the metal arm? He says, well, I don't think about it. I'm right-handed. So yes, he's got the vibranium metal arm, but it's not his dominant arm, which is kind of ironic. So also, with it being vibranium, it absorbs kinetic energy. But what does it do punching-wise? You never see you see vibranium used as spears. I'd like to know what his arm can really do. Is it just basically a replacement? Or is it a better weapon having it? Is it an improvement? I don't think we've really explored that in any of this stuff. That would be interesting to find out. All right, Enrique, what do you guys think of John Walker as Captain America? I know that there are people out there who think that he did the right thing, that the Flag Smasher is Flag Smashers are a group of terrorists, and the guy just killed his best friend. Well, the group killed his best friend. So did Walker do the right thing? Did Walker, yes, he lost it emotionally, but he killed a terrorist for basic, So, and if Sam and Bucky go to him and try to take the shield away, are they in the right or are they in the wrong? And what do you think the government's going to do? Will the government look at him and go, oh, no, that's not what we wanted? Or are they going to go, yeah, he took out a terrorist? I think I can understand Jabba. I agree. I think I think you can see John's point of view. He was asked to be Captain America and not given the same tools in a sense that Steve Rogers was. He, Steve Rogers was a super soldier. Now, we know the super soldier serum affects different people different ways, but still, Steve had that ability, and that did help. So, where are you from? I am from LA. I am a Los Angeles native, born and raised here in California. So, but I also tend to look at all sides of a story and characters. So I can, and I think that's one thing great that Marvel is doing, is they're not making any character black and white. Nobody is just a mustache twirling villain. There's a reason. In WandaVision, we got the mustache. I mean, even Hayward, that seemed like a mustache twirling villain, you can kind of understand that he lives in a world where all these aliens are coming down and kicking kicking humans' butt. So, that's kind of his motivation for wanting to create a new Vision. So that's, I think, the one thing they're doing great with these series is they're making the characters three-dimensional, And Walker, you can kind of understand where he's coming from. Battlestar, you can understand where he's coming from. These series are giving us the time to have the depth of character that nobody is black and white. Do I know of Lisbon, Portugal? I am familiar with Lisbon and of Portugal. I've never been there. I don't know a lot about the country, but I know of it, I don't know Portuguese. Well, I like your name, awesome. So that's where I'm at with this series right now. I think the characters are all great. Even the bad guys, even the Flag Smashers, you can kind of understand where they're coming from. But Sam had the best line, which is, I can get behind what you are doing. I can get behind what you believe, but not the way you're dealing with things, or something to that effect. That he can agree with what Carly's doing and how she wants to reach out and help these people, but that he can't get behind the way she's doing it. And I think you could take that to almost any of these characters. If you sit down and look at Zemo has his entire country destroyed. And look with that, I have to go to bed. Good night, Enrique. Enjoy the show tomorrow, and have a good evening. You can understand Zemo's point of view from his entire country was destroyed, and it was superpowered people that do it. There was these heroes and Ultron that was created by Tony Stark. So his whole world was just turned upside down by heroes. So that's why he's against anybody having superpowers, because it puts him on this godlike level, and other people get sacrificed. Other people are at risk. So you can understand where Zemo's coming from. In the comics, Zemo is much more black and white villain. He's a descendant of Nazis, and he's a bit of a Nazi himself. His grandfather or his father, whichever it was, the original Baron Zemo, was definitely a Nazi. He was actually partners with the Red Skull at some point. But you've got that character. Well, this Zemo is completely different. He was, in the service. He was hunting down Hydra. Yes, he went way too far. He blew up the UN. He killed T'Chaka. He killed other innocent people. And he took other lives too. He killed the psychiatrist and took his place. So Zemo's not a good person. But his motivations make a lot more sense in today's world. John Walker's motivation, makes sense in today's world. He was given a task by his government. He's a soldier. He was given a task by his government. He's doing everything he can to make it, to succeed, to do what he was supposed to do. In this case, he's supposed to take out the Flag Smashers and stop the flow of super soldier serum. Well, one of that's done thanks to Zemo, but, so again, you can't get behind their methods, but you can understand their motivations. And I think that works with just about everybody in this show. And it worked that way in a lot of WandaVision, too. You may not agree with what Hayward was doing, but if you sat there and looked at it from his point of view, would you do the same? Would you want to? I mean, what he did was the same thing Tony Stark did. He wanted something to protect the world. And that's what he was doing with the Vision. He was breaking rules to do it, but you can understand his motivation in a sense. So in the movies, I think there's not enough time to really dig into the villains. You get a handful of them that you do, your Killmongers and your Hellas. But then you get characters like Darren Cross, who is Yellow Jacket, who just seem to be evil and greedy. Where in these series, they get to take the time and really build the characters. And I think that's one of the blessings of these series. Now, the fact that we're only getting 6 of them, and there were already 4 in, so we're on the penultimate episode, and then the finale, man, this thing just flew by. And then we got to wait like 4 weeks before we get Loki. So it's going to be interesting. All right, guys, we're getting close to an hour. I usually try not to make the pre-shows go that long. But anybody else on that have any questions about tonight's episode? Anything you want to throw out there? Any predictions? I think we're going to get the confrontation between Sam, Bucky, and John Walker. I think there's a good chance Sam ends up with the shield. And I think they're going to go back to Louisiana, and we're going to end up with those scenes of them practicing in the backyard of Louisiana and them teaming up, and that they're going to go against the Flag Smasher. I think we're going to find out more about Isaiah Bradley. I think we'll get Isaiah Bradley back tonight. We're going to get some kind of cameo. I'm thinking the cameo might take place in the flashback. And that, the word is that it's going to be an MCU character that we've not met before, established in the comics, and that is played by a big performer who's not currently set up to be in any upcoming film. So your guess is as good as mine at this point. I mean, I don't like throwing the M word out there, but maybe maybe it's when he's in North Korea or Korea during the war and they run into Wolverine. Maybe another character from that era. Maybe it's Submariner. And you really could go that wild if you want to, but then it could be somebody a lot smaller, a lot simpler. D-Man. Remember D-Man from the Captain America series? Could be that. A lot of possibilities. But yeah, let's keep your expectations in check. Know that there's going to be a cameo. Know that it's going to be an emotional episode. This is the one Malcolm Spellman says that we should all be looking forward to. And this is the one where we're supposed to cry. So Jamal says, Sam definitely gets the shield. It's the only footage we have yet to see. That's been in the trailer since the first trailer. That and Zemo at the Sokovian Memorial is the other footage we have not yet seen. But it could be that, to me, that could also be the end of the series. That could be Sam and Bucky deciding they're going to work together going forward. And we get that at the end. But yeah, we do have those scenes still. But also you got to keep in mind that there was Endgame trailer of Hulk in Wakanda or Infinity War trailer, and we never got the Hulk in Wakanda. So Namor, I think Horton's other synth man. Human Torch, there you go. The android Human Torch, another good possibility. That would be interesting. Professor Horton's Synthoid Man, yes. I'd love to see that. I think we got that teased. We know the character was created because he shows up in Captain America, the First Avenger, at the State Fair or the Science Fair, where we meet Howard Stark for the first time. So that is absolutely a possibility. Is it a probability? Technically, we've already met him. We saw the body. So that doesn't quite fit. But you never know. All right, guys. I am going to wrap this up. It is just about 8 o'clock. We are 4 hours from the premiere. So get some rest. Whether you're going to watch it first thing in the morning or you're going to... whether you're watching the first thing in the morning or like me, you're going to stay up until midnight and watch it on the West Coast. Enjoy the episode. I will be back on probably about noon Pacific time tomorrow to do my live review of the show, give or take. And then I'll be back on Sunday night with Popco the Writers with myself, Paul Story, and Andrew Goggin as we talk about this episode. So please join me on those. And have a great weekend. Good evening.